Hi, Varun. Thank you so much for joining us today. You've done a lot of incredible things over your journey. From what I've gathered, you went to an Ivy League school in undergrad in the US, left your 1 crore job to move back to India, started 8 different startups, including 91Springboard, which is one of the most successful co-working spaces in India. And most recently, you started building Build3, a startup accelerator in India. And while there's so much we can talk about your journey, today I really want to focus on Build3, the startup accelerator, and that journey. Uh,
Amazing. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. We're in first question. Uh, why build a startup accelerator in the first place? And from my understanding, Build
Mm,
Three, please correct me if I'm wrong, but Build 3 originally started off uh, as a kind of traditional VC or investment fund slash mentoring situation, and it seems like it evolved into an accelerator. So what happened?
mm. So that's half true.
Mhm.
We started off as a venture studio or a startup studio.
Got it.
So an organization that wanted to work deeply with founders and believed that through that deep interaction, we could really enable founders to build stuff that would make the world a better place, right? So we really put a lot of emphasis on the co-building and that one-on-one interaction. And what we learned over time was that as a venture builder, we have to work with a lot of startups, not just a few. And working with two a year wasn't going to cut it. You have to work with 30, 40 if we're to, run portfolio theory. Some will work, some won't work, have the few big ones to make it all just financially work, right?
Mhm.
So understanding the power law and putting that to work for us, we said, hey, working two a year, we're going to run out of cash before we hit any winners, right? So
Mhm.
we said, let's build an accelerator. It solves for two things. You
Mhm.
see a lot more flow because now you put in a start date, you put an end date, and you let a bunch of people in. So you
Mhm.
create a lot of flow. So now you can pick a few folks to work more deeply with who you have a lot of data on. So
Mhm.
that was one reason to add an accelerator before our venture builder, right? So it's
Mhm.
not gone. This we just added a stage before, and that's called the Build 3 Impact Accelerator. That's where a bunch of people come and apply. So it gives us a ton of data, it gives us a lot of relative data,
Mhm.
it gives us a lot of applications, and
Mhm.
then we can choose and work with a few more deeply. The second learning was
Mhm.
that just us working deeply with founders
Mhm.
is valuable. But you
Mhm.
know what's even more valuable? Having an amazing bunch of people around who are also invested in the startup journey. So, investors, mentors, vendors, co founders, let's get them all around you. And all of those little conversations,
Mhm.
the magic, the serendipity,
Mhm.
that is worth more than just two people in a room talking to each other every day. So, these two people together, it's really been quite amazing to see how much we've been able to support founders.
No, that's awesome. And a follow-on question, you were talking about serendipity, and that's, very spoken about in this world. I'm curious, why did you choose Goa of all places to build this at? And I
Mm,
ask this because I wonder maybe if you start in Bangalore or Mumbai or Delhi, you might have more serendipity, so to speak.
sure. Um, so some of this is personal in the sense in 2017, we moved the headquarters of my last organization, 91 Springboard, to Goa. And
Okay.
it came from a place where we wanted to create better quality of life, yet have the ability to attract high quality talent, and yet have people be connected with the front office. So your back office or your headquarter people don't forget what your product is. And Goa sort of uniquely allowed us to make all of these three things happen at the same time. So that's why we moved to Goa back in 2017. Now in 2020,
Hmm.
when I was starting up Build 3, I
Hmm.
had the option of moving to any one of these big economic or business centers, startup centers, or I could be in Goa. And what I thought was, everybody goes chasing the better life,
Hmm.
but I have the best life. Can I
Hmm.
also bring a commercial angle, a commercial activity to where I already have the best life? I said, why not? I've built industries where none existed before. I was one of the first to build a co-working space, and then a network of them in India where none existed. And I felt I could create an entrepreneurship environment, an entrepreneurship community, an entrepreneurship ecosystem in Goa too. Yes, I'd have to be patient and I have to put, one foot in front of the other or one brick at a time. But I was up to that as long as I could live a good life while doing it. Because if I'm not happy, if I'm not mentally, physically, emotionally in a good place, anything I'm doing, anything I'm manifesting is no good. So we said that is step one. Let's get Varun to a good place. When Varun's in a good place, he'll build something good. Now, if this was a big part of bringing Varun to a good place, you bring a bunch of founders here, and they start to come into a good place. They're in these busy cities and traffic and stress and the rat race and all of this going on. And now you come to Goa and you slow it down a bit, you chat, you chill. There's a word in Goa called susegad, which is a slow, contented way of life. Uh, Sometimes people confuse that with laziness. No, it's just a slow, contented way of life. And when people come and embrace that, I think you really unlock new, beautiful ways to see the world. Your creative juices start going again, and some magical entrepreneurial energy starts to foster, which for a long time seems to be lost in the everyday hustle. It's almost like, New York has a different personality to the West Coast, right? Um, and there's a different type of startup born out of New York and a different one out of Silicon Valley, right? And it's just a little bit of a slower, more relaxed vibe on the West Coast, and a little bit more of a hustle vibe. Not to say one's right or wrong; they're just different,
Sure.
right? And so Goa just brings us different, and I was excited to bring that different to founders.
Got it. No, that's an interesting answer, Varun. And when you're trying to bring in maybe mentors, investors, or vendors to work with your cohort, do you invite them to stay over at your Build3 space in Goa, or is it usually
Yeah,
virtual?
yeah. So our first two cohorts we did fully residential, and we'd taken up some guest house capacity close by, and we had, I think, 34 or 35 founders stay with us, and it was quite magical, right? Over time, we realized, hey, we don't fully have the chops to run that hospitality experience up to a certain level that we'd like to. And so we said, cohort three onwards, we'll do this more as a hybrid program, which brought people to Goa for a 4-day power packed program. And then they went back and we worked remotely for the remainder of the program. And um, a couple of cohorts from now, we actually move to a much larger campus, a 30-acre campus where we will have our own facilities for stay. And we will bring back the residential option because it clearly had many things that worked. However, we were not able to do it very well when we were using other people's infrastructure. Now, with our own infrastructure, when we move to this place, we'd love to bring that back. And it's really powerful when you have people here for 10 weeks, how they collaborate, how they brainstorm, how many co founding partnerships get created. It's really amazing. And I'd like to get back to it. So it's only temporarily suspended, coming
Sure.
back soon.
No, and just following on to what you started talking about, that residential kind of scenario. Um, One of the things I struggle to personally understand about Build3 from a quick brief
Of
reading
course.
online was,
Yep.
are like folks coming in with a startup idea and going through the accelerator, or are they coming in solo as I'm interested to build, I'll find my co-founder here?
Both.
Okay.
Both. So we have about 40% of our cohort comes in pre-idea, pre-co-founder,
Mhm.
and 60% of our cohort comes in with prototype, with product. They probably even have some revenues. So there's a nice mix that we have.
Got it. And I'm curious for that 40% who is kind of pre-idea, pre-revenue, just saying, I'm interested in this. What are you looking for, or what are you evaluating them on when you're selecting them?
To be honest, with everybody on the program joining the Accelerator program, we look for the same three things, which is capability, commitment, and compatibility. Capability for a founder can look like leadership qualities, program management, communication, resourcefulness. All of these things comprise capability for me. Com- Commitment looks like you've left your job, you've put in your own money, you've attracted your friends and family to join you as co-founders. All of that looks like commitment. You've been tinkering with a hobby, and that's now starting to become something important. So we've been working at it for months or years, and now you're bringing that into a commercial zone. That could be commitment. Compatibility looks like willing to work with Build3. What that means is working for purpose and profit, working with us as partners versus just looking at us as investors,
Mhm.
um, willing to come down to Goa for a while and really engage with us and the community.
Mhm.
Um, I think I already said building for purpose and profit. It's important enough, so I'd say it again.
Mhm.
So that brings the compatibility part of things into play. So look for these three things when people are entering the program: capability, commitment, and compatibility.
Got it. And a follow on, it seems like impact is very important to you. Impact and purpose is very important to you. And
Yeah,
can you talk a bit about that, Varun? Like, is it a personal
sure.
thing or yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not surprising if I told anybody that I think we're destroying the world around us. Um, I think we share fewer bonds with other humans around us. We are less kind. We are losing flora, fauna, and animalistic variety all around us. Our natural resources are being depleted. So, living a selfish life where we wanted certain things, we use the world around us. And we're now starting to see how quickly that can deteriorate. And it's kind of obvious to me, and I think most people, that if we carried on this path, it's going to lead to death of the planet, or at least to human life as we know it. And now we have the choice to continue to live that selfish life and
Mhm.
not leave much for generations to come, or
Mhm.
we can be a little bit more responsible, and do things right. And I just like to do the things right. It just feels like that's the right thing to do.
No, for sure.
So, can we be responsible?
Mhm.
And I think we can. It's a choice.
Mhm.
It's just up till now it was ignorance more than I think most people choosing to be destructive. And now that it's becoming more and more obvious, how can we exercise our power to do well, to do better?
Mhm.
I think is what Build 3 is all about.
Mhm.
We're requesting or suggesting people walk a path that is less known, not one that people are unwilling to walk, but it's unorthodox. They're unaware. How do you do profit and purpose together? All we know is, hey, if you care about purpose, you must be a hippie, and if you're doing profit, then you're a capitalist and you stop at nothing, right?
Mhm.
But there is a path to straddle the two and make them work together, and
Mhm.
we're here to demonstrate that and suggest that more and more founders take up that path, and you can still live a good life and have fun, and you can do it
Sure.
without ruining it for everybody else down the road, right?
Sure.
And that's a core belief I hold,
Mhm.
and that's what I'd like to inspire and enable founders to choose that path.
Thank you for sharing that, Varun. Did you always have that core belief growing up, or was there some point in your journey or something happened that led you to developing this core belief?
Oh, I pretty much say it's brand spanking new. I'm 44 years old at this point,
Mhm.
and at 38, I think I had one of those deeply reflective moments, mostly due to ill health. I had mistreated myself and committed myself fully to my startup journey, and I didn't take care of myself.
Mhm.
And I had hiatus hernia, hypothyroidism, fatty liver, asthma, and arthritis,
Mhm.
all as a 38-year-old. And that made me sort of introspect deeply at the choices I was making. And so first came around, lifestyle choices, dietary choices,
Mhm.
et cetera, to get my mind and body in better health.
Mhm.
And then one of the things that came out of that was, now that I'm better,
Mhm.
what can I do with my time? And do I want to go back on the treadmill that I was on, or can I be more responsible with how I spend my time? And I used a framework called Ikigai,
Mhm.
um, which in simple words is a reason for being, or a reason to exist. It's a Japanese term,
Uh-huh.
and there's a small. This is not the true Japanese version, but this is a variation of it that resonates with me. So I'll use this. They
Mhm.
said to find your ikigai,
Mhm.
you need to find the intersection of four areas.
Okay.
What do you love? What are
Mhm.
you good at? What
Mhm.
does the world need? and how can you make money doing it. Right? Find the intersection of these four, and you're likely to be on a path that will be exciting, nourishing, good for everybody around you. You will have pride in what you do. You will be full of energy, and it'll, in the end, just be a gratifying journey. And a lot, and I said, okay, what do I want to do? And what do you love? Well, I love working with early stage founders because that's a creative, fun, anything can happen.
Mm.
I can make anything, right?
Sure.
And that felt like an exciting stage to work with founders. What am I good at? Well, as you said, I'd done 7 startups at this point when I was having this conversation myself.
Uh-huh.
I had mentored a few dozen startups
Mhm.
and I had invested in a couple dozen startups.
Mhm.
So I said, I have a lot of experience. So let's say I have quite a bit of experience. So I'm above average good at this also, right? So what do you love? What are you good at? Check, check.
Mhm.
What does the world need?
Mhm.
And so far, I just said early stage startups. But then when I thought about what the world needs, well, we need a more conscious, a more responsible, a more thoughtful, a more mindful entrepreneur that's wielding entrepreneurship as a way to make the world better, not just as a way to get personally famous and wealthy, right? Which seems
Sure.
like the approach a lot of founders were taking. Not to fault them. I think
Mhm.
for a long time we thought the earth has unlimited resources and we can just continue to use them. But I think now is a time to question that belief. And I think I started to question that belief and I had these recognitions and I said, okay, I think we want to build something where founders build with profit and purpose and not just build anything that makes money. And that became what does the world need
Mhm.
and how can you make money doing it?
Mhm.
Well, I couldn't be a consultant and charge founders that normally don't have any money to pay anything.
Mhm.
So that wouldn't have worked.
Mhm.
So I said, I'll co create and we'll become an accelerator or an incubator or a venture builder and we will co create.
Mhm.
And so that became the journey. And that's what we're doing today. That's the genesis of Build 3.
Got it. Got it. One of the things, moving kind of back to Build 3 and also continuing to talk about this finding success in profit and purpose. One of the things you've written in one of the documents about Build 3 is looking forward, you're hoping for an optimistic success rate of 60% of the startups you work with do well and
Mm,
40% don't do well. And I know
yeah.
you run a few cohorts right now. So I'm curious, are those the numbers that you're seeing or is it different?
So we've financially partnered with 19 startups.
Hmm.
Um, 3 of them no longer exist,
Hmm.
and 4 of them have raised more money after us. This is over a short period of 1.5 years.
Hmm.
I'd say average partnership duration is 9 months. So I think it's too early to say.
Sure.
Um, what I can say is we've also defined, we've created our relationship in a more healthy and wholesome way, at least I believe that,
Hmm.
um, where we partner as a vehicle called a convertible note, which basically stands as debt to start off.
Hmm.
And it could become equity if you end up raising venture capital money, et cetera, et cetera. We can become equity or we can stay as debt. And the thought is that a lot of startups may not reach that unicorn status or that really high level where you're acquirable, but you might just build a nice solid company, right? Which might be a 5 million or a $10 million revenue company or a 50 crore revenue company,
Hmm.
and that's a great company. You're creating jobs,
Definitely.
you're making the world better for many of your customers, and that's amazing, right? And those ones normally don't have an opportunity to exist because the venture capital world just wants to go big or bust, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so for us, even these companies are success and they can just buy back our at a modest 18% IRR. And we consider that success too. So I think if that were to happen, that's also good enough for us. And hence, success has a broader definition than the VC definition.
Hmm.
So I still feel confident that we will get 60% or better success rate.
Got it. And one of the things you mentioned was the buyback option, Varun. I, while it seems that you guys are not exactly in the VC world or VC line, you kind of are in this world. And I'm curious why give that buyback option when typically kind of portfolio theory says the winners are gonna return your portfolio and make up for all the others. So why give the option to your winners to make that buyback, which kind of may not make up for the others?
Okay. So I think there we say we want to mutually agree if that makes sense. And also, we truly believe that, the ethos with our founders is, hey, we're building together. We want best for each other.
Mhm,
We're also set up as a not-for-profit.
mhm.
What's going to happen with what we receive? We're going to just reinvest back into the startup ecosystem.
Got
So founders see that we're all about community and building together and doing better. They benefit not just because of our efforts, but also because of 20, 30 other founders that help in their journey. And
Sure.
that's where they've reached. So we believe we're engendering or fostering a value system where people aren't just going to see how do I maximize for myself, but these are folks that were critical to my journey to get here. Let me take them on the journey. Let's make sure they also win out of this. You know, I could make 100 crores or 100 million out of this, or
Mhm,
I could make 90 crores or 90 million out of this. And probably neither is going to change my life substantially. Either outcome is equally good. But that 10 million or 10 crores that came to an ecosystem builder like Build3, and we put that back to work in the engine that is Build3, will really change things downstream for many other founders. And I think people will get this and they'll want to sort of pay it forward. And that's our hope, that founders will have that empathy, that awareness, and that just goodwill.
got it. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. The other question I had in the world of accelerators, there's a little bit of a soft divide of I want to do more programming and guide the founders more versus I want to do
Mm,
less programming and really if
yeah,
someone just needs my guidance, I will help. So which side do you kind of fall on?
yeah, no, that's a good one. And we still have those conversations.
Hmm.
Um, so we do both, and I'll explain how.
Sure.
Um, so we do a lot of programming, but
Hmm.
we leave it to the judgment of founders to decide if they want to attend all the programming. So
Hmm.
we create group programming, and we also have a lot of office hours, mentor hours like Y Combinator,
Hmm.
which gives you the option to just plug in when you want to. Take resources that you need. When do you need connections? When do you want advice? When do you want services and benefits from other providers that we've negotiated, right?
Hmm.
So if you just want some of those transactional things, you can be that person. If you want to join the group sessions, you can be that person. You want to come into places where the entire group of founders gets together and brainstorms together and problem solves together and shares contacts together, you can come to that place. You want to come to our events where we practice yoga, meditation, and just laughing together and playing games together and de-stress and sort of chill together, you can come to that. So it's really, I like to say it's a buffet. You choose which parts of the buffet you want to take. And so I think we serve many different types of founders, and different founders work differently. Like some founders are lacking confidence and they want a lot of the knowledge and information because they like to plan and then execute. And some people like to just jump in and be like, hey, I'll figure it out along the way, right? And
Yeah.
to figure it out along the way, they just need the few resources once they hit some roadblock or some hurdle. And then the planners, they want to get as much information. They want to suck it all. They want to absorb it all
Mhm.
before they sort of get going. So we have the programming for the second type, and we have the quick transactional resources for the first type. So I think we sort of solve for both in this way.
Got it. And for these group sessions that are kind of like, maybe you're bringing in experts or you all are the experts and you're saying this is optional for the founders to come in. What have you observed? Are most founders coming in or what percentage come in?
Wait, say that again. I'm not sure I got the question
Sorry.
correctly.
For these group sessions, which are kind of like programming or knowledge sharing sessions, which are optional, what percentage of founders do you see attending these sessions?
Between 55 and 70%
Got
of
it.
the cohort. Of the cohort.
Got it. Got
So
it.
they pick and choose the sessions they want to.
Hmm.
Sometimes people don't attend because there's a time clash or something's going on in their business because they're building at the same time, right?
Sure.
So because something else is pulling at their time, and sometimes because the content is uninteresting to them.
Sure.
And of course, there's a third group which just says, hey, this format of working in groups or is just not for me, right? So those are three reasons why people don't attend. And that's why this ratio of 55 to 75%, 70% of cohort is present for these type of sessions.
Interesting. And a follow-on, Varun, I'd like to hear more about the folks who said this format is not for me, because I have personally never come across it. Why do they feel this, like working with other people is not for them?
Mostly it feels like, I won't say they say I don't like working with anybody, but it is more valuable for me to be working in my business and executing
Hmm,
ABCD, whatever's going on. My
sure.
time is better spent doing that. Not that this is not valuable, both are valuable, but now I have to choose because
Mhm.
it's happening at the same time, right?
Sure.
So do I build a sales pitch and send it to a customer, or do
Mhm.
I attend the session? Right? Sometimes it's these are the types of decisions.
Sure. And I'm curious when someone is mentioning this decision, not as a one-time thing, but as a general pattern, right? I don't believe these sessions are valuable to me. I want to keep executing. Do you tend to, I'm curious about your style. Do you tend to give the founders completely free reign, or during your mentoring sessions you say, "Hey guys, like this actually can add value for ABC reason."
Yeah. So I I value founders to have decision making power because I'm saying, look, you're going to build a startup relying on your intuition, your judgment, and you're going to take calls.
Hmm.
And I can't play a power card and make you change that behavior. I think you have a certain pattern, you're going to make your own mistakes, you're going to improve your own judgment. So that's on you. So what you choose to join, what you choose not to, I'm not here to tell you. But if
Sure.
I'm ever in a session and
Hmm.
something comes up that, hey, there's a session, like somebody's talking to me about hiring. And
Hmm.
2 days later, I'm going to talk about best practices on building your A team, as we call it, right?
Sure.
And it's going to happen in 2 days. I'll be like, hey, I'm sharing with you a bunch of things, but this is the quick 10-minute version. There's going to
Hmm.
be a 2 hour version, which I'm going to do, say a couple of days from now.
Hmm.
Why don't you think about attending it? So then that'll be that. Now it's their call.
Got it. Got it. Interesting. The other bit I wanted to talk about at the end of the accelerator program, for those invited to the kind of venture program or the venture studio program, you make an investment of 25 lakh rupees. And I am curious if you had a magic wand, so to speak, would that number be any different?
Yes, that
Okay,
number would now look like more like $100,000 or 80 or 85 lakhs because I feel that would move the needle more. Unfortunately, I think this is more our constraint of resources rather than what the market needs.
sure.
So currently, the solution is to we're running a demo day twice a year, so
Mhm.
we're able to bring in some more capital um, over and above what we bring.
Sure.
So so at the end, it doesn't have to be our money at play, but as long as the founders get it, we're happy. We're also trying to work on putting together a fund.
Mhm.
And if that were to come through, then we can also deploy this higher capital.
Mhm.
So the intention is to make more money available soon. And these are a couple of um, techniques that we're.
Sorry, Vern, I think I lost you there for a second. You're talking about the techniques. Uh,
Sorry, I think we had an internet
all good,
issue.
all good, all good.
Um, I was saying that two techniques are bringing more capital from other investors
Mhm.
through a demo day concept.
Mhm.
We help syndicate more funds to a startup. As long as they get more money, I'm happy. It doesn't have to be through me.
Mhm.
Yet, we're also setting up a fund, which I
Mhm.
have a partner, Ashish. He's looking at raising at this point.
Mhm.
So that can be exciting for us downstream. We're just getting that journey started.
Got it. And a follow-up question I have, Vern. As of now, you're investing this 25 lakhs. How do you, or what do you think founders would do differently with the money? Say if you invested, say 1 or 5 lakhs, or if you invested, say 80 or to 100 lakhs.
See, in general, once you have more money, your solutioning technique goes from creativity to spending cash.
Mhm.
And I've generally believed the better solutions come out of creativity. So the more scarcity, the more creativity. Yet it would be silly or foolhardy for me to say that everything can be solved with creativity. You do need cash. So it's always a balance, right?
Sure.
And now I just think that balance has shifted to this higher number where this allows for some of the need to do things, right? As an example, anything that you want to do at an average level, which is already well done in the world, there is good precedence, right? You want your accounting is not your superpower. You want it done at an average level. Just go hire an accountant. You don't employ creativity in doing better accounting, right?
Mhm.
You use creativity for better accounting, you usually end up in jail, right? So no. So the the idea is to do some of those things and just spend money on it and get it done, right? And you want to buy a SaaS platform for CRM, just do it. Don't go build a CRM, right? Like
Sure.
those sorts of things. So some of your money is going to spend on basics to do just to move the needle, make some business systems work. And then there's some of your magical value adds, your USP as a company, right? Where you have to go deep, you have to employ first principles, you have to do magic, right? And
Sure.
that's the stuff where you need to employ creativity. But what tends to happen is we're not very good in the moment of making this judgment.
Mhm.
Where do I do things um, business as usual, just use precedents, use previous best practices, and don't try to reinvent the wheel? And
Mhm.
where do I reinvent the wheel because that's my magic, right? So it's this choice. And the reinvention of the wheel is all creativity, time, energy,
Mhm.
and doing business as usual, using existing best practices. Spend money, get a good person, hire them, consultant, outsourced, whatever, just get it done, right?
Got it. Got it. I hear you. And in the interest of time, one last question, and then if there's anything else you felt you would have wanted to say, feel free to do
Sure.
that. The last question, how does a founder who is maybe a founder who's based in India, how do they find out about programs like Build3 or any other accelerators out there? Is there a way to do so, or is it just happenstance?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm glad to say, in our first year, we'd be lucky to get 10 applications a month.
Mhm.
And now I'm proud to say we get 100 applications a week.
Wow.
So things are improving, and that's a function of, conversations like this and folks like you put the word out for us to your communities and your connections. We publish a lot of content on various channels from Instagram to YouTube to LinkedIn, and we do a lot of that.
Mhm.
And then we also use advertising on channels like Meta and Google. So there is a lot of this consolidated activity that leads to more and more people becoming aware.
Mhm.
They pick up that initial tidbit on whichever ad or content platform, and they end up on our website, and then they learn more, and then they decide if now's the right time to participate or partner with Build3. So that's usually the journey. We have a long way to go, but
Yeah.
we've come a fair bit, and I'm happy to pat myself on the back and say, "Good job, keep going. Much more to do, but we've done well so far too."
Got it. I was curious if you'd heard of this platform called F6S. Uh, that's a platform.
100%. Yeah, we use them too.
Okay, okay. Because what I've observed and I learned about them recently, but that's a good platform to go to find accelerators in general in the US.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
curious about if there was something in India. Uh,
yeah. So it's not as prevalent in India, but
mhm,
it works, and we're on it, and we are being discovered through that too. I would say it is our fourth or fifth source for applications for our accelerator program.
got
Yeah.
it. And the last thing, Varun, is there any other thing that you thought maybe I should have asked you a question about, but I missed, or you want to say?
No, man. Somehow I just don't believe in the world working that way. You asked me what you felt like asking me, and
Uh-huh.
hopefully I answered it as genuinely and as honestly as I could.
Yeah.
And it's helpful to you and others who are going to hear this. And that's it. And if there's more I can do, just drop me a message or reach out to me on whatever platform you know how to, and we'll carry this conversation forward. That's it.
Thank you so much for your time, Varun.
Cheers, man.